This is what happens when Moors don't support. You're doing shit all by yourself. All right, let's go around. Let's do this. All right, now let's see. Let's see what you're seeing versus what I'm seeing. Okay. Now, okay, so now I can't really see you guys to see what I'm doing. I'm going to have to kind of come to the back of the board to see where we are with things. So bear with me. This is my first class in the class. I hope you're on it now. This is the class, and I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So hopefully I can come online on Facebook to possibly see what it is that I'm doing, because I'm used to being able to see what I'm doing. Okay, family? So bear with me. This is the first class on Saturday. I started initially at 11:11, which I was quite happy about, but as you can see, it didn't. So I'm gonna just tell you, Moors, the Albion is using their unlawful corporations called courts to hypothecate what belongs to you in Morocco. Islam, is this Tiger? How are you, Tiger? Nice to meet you.
I didn't know you were here. I'm downstairs.
Well, oh, you were down here already. Oh my goodness, we have a Moor here. Well, you know, it's going to take a minute for them to get used to it. This is the best way to do it, but it's going to take them a minute to realize we're here. So I'm going to start live.
Is this every Saturday?
This will be as often as I can.
Okay,
make it.
Because you got information. I listen to you on your YouTube, and it's you break stuff down.
I'm trying to get the Moors.
Todd speaks politically, global, but he doesn't break stuff down.
Yeah. And
the reason why I'm able to understand a lot of stuff and get stuff going, if you got a chance to look at my affidavits, because
we're on live right now. You know that, right?
I'm not
no, sit. You can sit and be.
My computer.
Oh, okay.
I gotta go bring it up.
Okay. So let's see. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Let me see. Do I have to like walk into the camera? I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to do two things at once. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying, family. Give me a break. Give me a couple of seconds. Let me know. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if I am being heard. Now, I know there's usually a delay from computer to, see, look, let's see. It says that I'm live. Can you hear me? Because I want to make sure I'm broadcasting. I'm used to doing this by myself, and I'm not seeing anything, so I'm trying to wait to see if I can hear you. Islam free teaching things. Islam free teaching things. I don't know what that means. Okay, so give me some indication that you're here. I would love some type of indication that someone is here. But anyway, I'm going to try to continue with the class. I can't see myself recording, but I'm going to try to record. I'm going to try as best way I can. We actually had one individual show up today for class based on what I posted on the social media platform. Keep in mind, I cannot see you, and I don't know if I'm here, but I'm trying to find out, family. So bear with me. I don't normally do classes this way. I normally do classes, what do I want to say? With people, right? With people and just my Facebook Live where I can kind of see what you're doing, what I'm saying. I'm trying. So there's a lag on the computer. So the computer's not going to work for me. The computer's not going to work for me, whereas though I can kind of see where I'm at in this regards. So I'm going to try and do this, but this is very, very uncomfortable. I'm just going to put that on the table, and I'm to do it where I'm trying to get the people's attention as to who is offending, who is violating us. Islam, family, Islam. So you are are you looking for an outlet? There should be one over there. There's one over. There's one right there behind. There's one right here. You see it? It's right in there. I don't know how long your cord is.
Yeah, that's.
if there's one there, it might be one hiding right behind here. So it's possible that they just blocked it. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Look under the table. Might be one under the table. I don't know. I don't know where they have things at around here. But then they have it here. If you don't want to go so far, you can sit at that table. I'm not necessarily sure if that's what you kind of want to do.
Okay.
Islam family. I'm so happy to see another Moor.
Was that the many out here?
Locally, in terms of wanting to unify outside of the temples, until we can get the administrators in the temples operating de jure.
Well, some of us have already started the political organizations before they found out about the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Did some studying.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Republican war leader in Philadelphia.
The Republican war leader?
Yeah, in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia's.
I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw all the scams that was going on a Democratic ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a chance to see, oh, you can't operate this. And I got involved in somebody's campaign, went to a committee. To make a long story short, I was at a state committee meeting. One of the candidates for Senate revealed, I wasn't supposed to be in there, revealed certain things.
What are some of those things that they revealed? That would be interesting.
On.
You're not putting it on camera, but you're not on camera. I'm on camera. It's weird because it's facing. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep coming over here, y'all, when I want to see what y'all talking about. I'm not used to not be able to see the board, but I had to switch the camera around in order for you to see it appropriately. So today's class is going to be talking about Moors. The Albion is using their unlawful corporations called courts to hypothecate what belongs to you in Morocco. And Queen Valahara, I love to let you know that Queen Valahara was one of those individuals who gave me such clarity in a lot of her videos. If you tune into YouTube, YouTube has a plethora of videos now that were not available. Historically, only Black's Law was available. Only Black's Law was available, and that video in and of itself kind of gave you some ideas as to what we are dealing with, and realizing that we are going, I don't know if I want to say going, we are accepting, see that, can't even see it, the invitations to contract. The question is, how are we accepting the invitations to contract with the
Can't read that.
corporate? I know it's very light, and I wanted to kind of give it a different color, but what it says is accepting the invitations to contract. We are accepting the invitations to contract by what, family? Even making a special appearance. Even though, as a lot of Moors will say, your entrance to their tribunals automatically automatically changes their corporate venue into a temple. A lot of people make those claims, and there are some facts in that. But if they are sending you documentation, if they're sending you items in the mail through mail fraud, why are you making a special appearance, giving the appearance of accepting the invitation to contract? We are doing that by this. If I could find another place to put it. Fear. And what is fear, family? I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to try. I don't want to move the camera. Fear is false. See if I can put it here. False. Where are we at? Fear. False. Education. Appearing. Real. False, education, appearing, real. So when we say our Moors are fearful, we say you just got false information that is giving you the assumption through unlawful and not knowledge, but miseducation through the brainwashing camps to make those special appearances, accepting the invitation to contract. And what are some of the ways that they've done this? There are many ways that they have gotten me to think that we are part of these institutions, right? And Vizir, like Tajiri Bey, she actually sent me a bunch of cases, which I was going over earlier today, that are not a part of the public consumption, meaning they're not easily to find, and they're not part of the so-called public record, let's say, but they're producible. Go figure. Anyway,
even sealed.
Right. Anyway, these cases were so interesting because they were all cases that were dismissed in these venues, corporations. One of the questions I would ask more is, why are they corporate venues? I would ask that question if we had a whole room full of people. Why are they corporate courts? And since Tiger, you're the only one here, why are they corporate courts and not I don't know if y'all can see that. Article 3. What makes them corporate? What makes them not Article 3 courts?
Well, they're private venues for human trafficking.
They're private venues for human trafficking, but what makes them private and why are they presuming to be Article 3? Presumption.
They're owning the conglomerate of them is the for-profit military complex controlled by the Jesuit order.
Right, controlled by the Jesuit order.
And that's private.
But more importantly, what happened that made them turn from this to this? Corporate courts. What instance in history, this is where law and history go together. This is why you can never separate them. That's why you should know the history. And in order to know the history, you're going to know the law because they go together and they can't be separated. Therefore, you will have very, very lacking in knowledge base. So what we know is...
Well, two things happened.
Go ahead.
The first one was the overthrow, was the coup d'etat 1861.
There we go. Coup d'etat of 1861. Explain the coup d'etat. Don't talk about the second one yet. Explain the coup d'etat of 1861, which was the overthrow. What happened in 1861?
There were several things that took place before 1861, adding up to the commercial war. It wasn't a civil war, actually. It got us believing it's a commercial war. Because it was about commerce and trade and about control of resources. And
how they do it?
The whole time since the federal debates in 1787, they were arguing about the South having the most population of the Moors, and they were getting them carrying the votes and controlling the votes in Congress.
And how they was doing that?
They were warring over that from the
So
start.
who was warring? The parties involved, which is the most important part.
The people, not individuals, because that's why courts, a lot of these private venues say you're not party to the Constitution, to the Europeans, because it wasn't them. The people were the states.
And the states
colonies
were who?
that became states.
Which were corporations.
They were fighting each other over this, and that became a commercial war. A lot of people think...
But in 1861, right? Wait a minute. Did I go to 1861?
It was May 10th, 1861. That was part of the problem. One of many things took place. One was the Dred Scott case. One of the measures that George Washington talked about in a letter to the Emperor in 1789, that he's going to put forth measures that would harmonize his empire with them, so there would no longer be the empire and the attachment. It would be
a conglomerate
as the.
But who was supposed to be the Article 3s though?
Article 3.
Because there were two parties, right?
The people, the Moors.
We were. Oh goodness, I gotta start erasing stuff. Sorry, y'all. I like to keep things here because I don't want to kind of erase it, so you might not be able to see what I'm writing, but it's for pure edification. So, what I was about to write was. Now I forgot because I wanted to sit here and make all that concession. Oh. United States, and then of America. So you got party number one, party number two. You got two parties. One, and only one, had authority over the courts at that particular time. And they were the Article 3s. And they were Moors, family. Moors. And why is that? Why is it that Moors were Article 3? What made them have the jurisdiction? What made them have the authority? What was it that the Albions lacked that the Asiatics, the Moors, had? Status, right?
The Moors had
sovereignty.
The sovereignty, the status, right. Because that's what created the attachment of them being of America, of Al-Marak to us.
Right. So we had the status, they lacked the status. So we had to kind of adopt them in, and that's why you have United States Major, which was the Moors, proper status, proper venue, proper jurisdiction, only authority, right? And then you had the United States of America, right? And the United States underscore, you got to keep in mind it was an underscore and it's of. And we don't realize that this whole American Constitution for the United States of America, I'll put it all in because we have to be clear, 1791, right? The Constitution for the United States of America, the Constitution for the United States of America, 1791, was a commercial agreement. It was a commercial agreement between these two parties, right? These two individuals. It was a covenant. It was a contract. It was a pledge to a degree. But the pledge came through the independence, the Declaration of Independence, and so too did the other articles that came with that. I wish I bought all my books, but y'all, I was trying to get here on time so I could start on time. So I don't have all my books because the Constitution specifically talks about all debts and treaties entered into before this are also binding and held, right? So that's talking about the Articles of Association. That's talking about the Northwestern Ordinance. That's talking about there's two Articles of Association, one from 1654 and another one from 1771. And then there's another one that is escaping my brain right now, but I'm sure it'll come back full circle. As well as, obviously, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Why am I giving all this? (1786, 1787, 1836) still in force. Now, I don't know if you can see all of this that I'm writing. I'm trying my best. I have this very, very close. I don't know if I need to push it back a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. You might be able to see enough of it. I'm not sure. I'm trying, y'all. This is my first class that I've held. And I said I was going to hold it, so I held it. Okay? I want to push this down just a tad bit to give you... Okay, I don't know. The camera's not going down, though, but I'm trying. Okay, whatever. I don't know what you guys can see. Nope, you see my chest. So I'm going to make sure I'm telling you everything that I'm writing. And next time I will make sure I adjust this camera a little bit more accordingly. Anyway, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1836, and 1787, still in force, was what came after all this came. All this came, and this kind of came in a little bit in the middle of it too, because the contract, right? We see 1791. We always have to make sure we're paying attention to dates because so much has happened in that small amount of time, and it all happened in this. It all happened in courts. At first it happened in courts, and then it trickled down into corporations, right? Because the only purpose that the Albion came here that is claiming to be in America, which is treason, because they know they're not Americans, they know that they are subjects, and they know that they don't have status here in Morocco outside of subject status, because there is no current naturalization laws that we do have. And you know that from the document that is eluding me again, the Expatriation Act of, can't remember the year, but I'll have more factual dates and timelines for you. And I actually have a timeline where you can keep it all together, so in your mind, you can understand what is really going on. Okay, family? So, where are we at? Where are we at, y'all? So, we know they're not Article 3. We know they're corporations. We know this. History tells you this, and ignorance of the law does not give you defense for going into these corporate courts and not getting a favorable reply, Moors. You're still trying to be a part of something that you absolutely cannot be a part of in your proper status. And they tell you this by dismissing your cases. They dismiss your cases for a multitude of reasons. One of them, it was funny because one of the cases that they had dismissed was because of jurisdiction. They had jurisdiction. And I will post these cases for you to review. But one of the cases specifically talked about we do have jurisdiction, and there is no delegation of authority because of the documents that you submitted. And some of the documents that they submitted were residential locations as opposed to mailing locations. Other things that they had admitted to the so-called corporation courts were registration. Family, if you're going to register with the state, you're going to be a part of the state as what? 14th Amendment. You're going to be a part of it under the 14th non-amendment, because we know damn well lawfully in an Article 3 venue, they are not lawful. And you wouldn't even be able to go in there. Talking about you are Wendy's, right? Or you are Walmart, or you are, think of this, if you are a nom de guerre, meaning if you haven't proclaimed and declared your Moorish nationality, you are Walmart going into an Article 3 venue asking for remedy when they can't see you whatsoever. You don't even exist. It's like a person is standing there, but you don't have a voice. And you don't have a voice, not necessarily because you don't have vocal cords, but because your status is lacking. You're here with them. And because you're here with them, you fall under this. Corporation courts, right? So no matter who goes into that venue, right? If you're making a special appearance to go into that venue and you wonder why your case was not dismissed, or you were not heard, they threw you out of the court, possibly tried to arrest you. I mean, regardless of even if you have a favorable reply, you're still going to a corporation court. This is why most Moors speak about letting your documents precede you. And this is what I'll always talk about. You don't belong to them. They don't necessarily belong to you, but they're subject to you based on that agreements. Based on the agreements, it depends, the Declaration of Independence, where they pledged what? What did they pledge? Oh, you can see all that? What did they pledge under the Declaration of Independence? What did they pledge? Does anybody know? And the heirs can't say that they are outside of that pledge, because they're heirs and they're here. So Albions today say, oh, that's an old ancient rule that no longer applies, is warring against Morocco. That's treasonous, family. That's treason.
Where is this on the Facebook?
Where's the class?
Yeah, it is.
This right here? What do you mean this?
Is this on streaming?
Yes.
Where?
My page.
But I'm on your page.
Well, I'm sitting here looking at it.
Well, maybe I don't know.
But mine is like a 20-minute delay, so.
No, but I don't see it anywhere. The first one I have is
Is it?
it's on Facebook.
Yeah.
So where is it?
Oh goodness.
It's old fashioned.
No, it's not old fashioned. I'm just not. You know, that's the messed up thing with the interfation.
Oh, that's the one with it? Wow.
So it's showing it's live right now. Just keep in mind, because I'm current, that's like 20 minutes.
That's fine.
Well, it looks like I need to lift up the camera though, or lift down. I don't know what to do with this camera, y'all. I'm not sure what to do with this camera. I'm trying to fix this camera, but it's just not working for me. Anyway, for them to sit here and talk about the United States country treason, for them to be sitting here talking about United States citizen treason, for them to be sitting here talking about the Constitution is not into effect treason, for them to be sitting here talking about any of these things in your face, it's a violation. And they pledged these things to support it. This was the first thing, and this was in 1774. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, no, I think it's 6. Can't see it, but 1776. And keep in mind, the dates are very important. Look at what I'm trying to paint next week. I'm going to be good with this because I'm going to have it all laid out, and you're going to have the outline prior to this class because we're going to go over this again until it's beat into the Moorish psyche, to the mind, to the brain, for you to think your way out of the rabbit holes and the traps that they set in all the deception and the miseducation, right? So, okay, where are we at? The Declaration of Independence. Why? And I'm doing this to give you an introduction as to why these venues you don't go to, no matter what you think, and you don't make special appearances. You let your documents precede you, and if they want to still mess with you, you must process, right? Some of the things that we're teaching you with the Moorish American Clerk, the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government is how to attack all of this, right? We have processes, we really do. And you have to do them, start to finish. And doing them is going to give you confidence. One, is going to give you confidence. One, is not only going to do that, you're going to learn the law too, which is almost always great, so you'll be able to stand on your square, right? And you're going to learn how to dismantle all of which they've done by showing them what they have agreed to, what they are bound. They're bound to this family. They can't go outside of it. And to go outside of it when you are in your proper person, Moors, is to be treason and deportation from Morocco, which is the land they stand on. All of the buildings stand on that. All of the resources, wealth, and material are on that, right? And I'm trying to put this in introductory type process, so I need to give this energy and you energy, right? So in 1776, they were so sick and tired of Great Britain. They came here under the colonies, which are corporations, British corporations. A colony is a British corporation, okay? So we know they came here under the 13, the original being Virginia corporations, as we would like to call them indentured servants. They were wards. They were Slavs. That is the etymon for their descendancy, right? So they were here, and their journey here was horrible. The slave trade that they convinced you in these tell-a-lie educational facilities, which lack knowledge in any real venue, is the very source of why you were going to corporate courts in the first place. Queen Valahara talks to you about the way you steal a nation's wealth is through the courts. And they've stolen through those corporation courts everything. But guess what? They ain't necessarily steal it. You gave it to them.
A live example is anybody who has a car.
Conveyance.
They bought it privately, conveyance. They bought it privately, written or otherwise, and then they go right to the tag place
and give it away.
And give it away.
And they didn't even go to the tag place because the tag place is right in the dealership. But go ahead. Well, usually.
Yeah, okay. Well, if it's about a used car, they go right there. So, or buy from somebody privately. But
yes.
But if they and then
that's
they
a
buy
great
it,
point.
And then they buy it. So we're buying on top of that. We shouldn't be buying anything.
Transfer.
Right. So what happens is so the state of Pennsylvania, for example, the corporately styled state jurisdiction, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for example,
right,
doesn't pay a dime.
Right, because it's a corporation. Nope.
No, it doesn't pay a dime. It doesn't pay a dime for the title.
Right.
It don't pay a dime for registration. It don't pay a dime for tags. It don't pay a dime when you get the lawsuit from the police from the
policy enforcers, the bandits.
The what's it called? The gangs of New York.
Yeah.
And they so we actually give up everything to them right away.
Right away. But guess what?
I've done it.
We've all done it. We've all done it. But guess what? You gave it away not knowing that that's what you were doing, and they did not disclose the truth behind that so-called obligation of contract, right? Because when you sit here and give somebody, when you sit here and sign, first of all, you're signing as a nom de guerre. What can we do with that? When you're signing something as a nom de guerre, you already have waived any rights you had because you lacked in status. That's why they were able to hypothecate everything that you own, because the status, was lacking. And if you had knowledge, the status would never have been lacking if you had knowledge. So we know we've been educated, miseducated to give them everything based on our lack of knowledge. So when we sit here and talk about going to these venues, these corporations, right? They're corporations and they're tied to this. How do you rope them into this? Through this. This and this. You can't separate it. And when I say this and this, I mean the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1787, 1836, still in force, and the Constitution for the United States, 1791. And every document, lawful contract or treaty that preceded this, which is the Declaration of Independence, 1776, the Articles of Associations of 1777, and the Northwestern Ordinance of, can't remember, I think that's 1777 too.
1787, Northwest Ordinance.
Thank you, 1787. So that's another timestamp, 1787. Let me see where I'm going to put it. And please be writing this down in order and look at every last one of those documents. Please read this stuff, y'all. Read, interpret. To read is to interpret. Interpret everything that I'm saying, because this is your defense for everything they are trying to hypothecate on you.
And the records of the Federal Convention of 1787, Volume 2. There were 3 volumes. Volume 2, because that's the debates.
You talking about the ordinance?
No, but this is a point of reference for the organization of the corporation.
Okay, so what's the name?
The records, it's called The Records of the Federal Convention of 1787, Volume 2. And I put down page 263.
Volume 2, page 263.
Yeah, Roman numeral 2. Get rid of the 2, because that's not how it's listed. People might look it up and can't find it.
Yeah, right. They are that particular when they want to hide something. They hide it in plain sight.
Now that's evidence of them discussing the corporation. So 2 years later, George Washington shows up, and it's a corporation, and he starts warring against the empire.
And this is 1787.
Right.
18. Okay.
That was during the Continental Congress, Second Continental Congress, 1787. And that was the last negotiation before they came in, before the debates, and then George Washington showed up. And that's when they started warring against us.
Well, we know they ultimately, okay. How am I going to tie this all in? Because I like to tie things in and give roadmaps. And even though this looks all sporadic, you should be writing this in order. You should be starting with what you start with. And what you start with ultimately is 1776, but there's pre-information and dates that precede 1776. 1776 was just when they actually got so sick and tired of Great Britain, wanted us Moors to assist them in liberation from Great Britain, which is our brutish Moors across the sea, which was our cousins. So we were warred against our cousins across the sea in favor of the very people who hypothecated everything here, and why you think that this is the United States. The United States is a country when Morocco's the country in the soil. And the only way you tie yourself back to all of this defense is by declaring and proclaiming your Moorish nationality. Your tribal affiliations or how you would like to be identified, but your nationality, your nativity comes from land and soil, and land and soil is Morocco. Moor, look it up. Islam. So, where are we at? Now we're talking. We're saying, how did we get into this? How do we get out of it? We get out of it the same way we went into it. That's how we went into it. We agreed to the fraud by allowing them to subjugate us and allowing ourselves to be identified under these nom de guerre. So when you got the mail fraud in the mail, you identified as such. You went to the corporate courts and you submitted to the jurisdiction by appearing, as well as through mail fraud, as well as the language, the etiban language that's coming out of your mouth that means specifically what it means, not your interpretation of what it means based on style or what you want something to mean at a particular time. Things mean what they mean, no matter how you feel about it, they mean what they mean. And that's the etiman degree, right? Abdullah Talib Mosley Bey does a great job with etiman and getting you to understand that just because you think you're black does not justify you calling yourself that and denationalizing yourself, denationalizing your children, all because you don't know who you are. And nativity comes from mommy. So mommy's responsibility first when she produces seeds through those stargates is to tell them who they are. And if she is unclear as to who she is, her very first duty is to find that out so she can pass that down to her children. So, what am I talking about here? I said so much, and I want to put this in focus. And I want you to realize you don't have to fire not one shot of any bullets, of any guns, because we lost the Moroccan Empire through this, and this is the damn same way we get it back, through this. And the first thing you have to establish before you can reestablish this, which is back on the land of Morocco through the Moorish American Consulate, is status, nationality. Somewhere I'm putting here. Nationality. If you lack nationality, you lack any defense. And then you have to go through these corporations, and all they want from you is finance. Because the reasons they came was for finance. In the original 13 colonial British colony corporations, and they wanted liberation from that. They wanted liberations from the corporations, therefore they appealed to the Moors, the nobles, through us. But keep in mind, we allowed these corporations to come on the land. We sanctioned that. Keep this in mind, through the Moroccan Empire, right? So the very way we lost it was through the courts, through the battles, who you think are actual battles, because of the social engineering. Family, television, tele-live vision was never, ever supposed to be used to learn how to function or gain knowledge how to function in a society. And a lot of us learned education and didn't gain knowledge, because why would those individuals that know they're held to all of this, treaty, constitution, declaration, Northwest Ordinance. They're held to all of this stuff, and they kept a track record of it all. It's all here. And the one thing I have to add to my arsenal is the records of the Federal Convention of 1787. And it's so interesting that was held in 1787 because that's the same damn date the peace treaties was established or signed originally. But keep in mind, also, we had a lot of stuff going on in Morocco on all seaports, right? Because you had Virginia colony, you had the Massachusetts Bay colony, you had, oh goodness, there's so many colonies. Virginia is the biggest one because it was the first one. When they were coming over on ships where they got you to believe, to think, they got you to think in your mind that you came on slave ships. And how did we get this social engineering? We got it through television, which was the programming venue, which is still the programming venue to get you to denationalize yourself so you would become a ward of these corporation courts. So right now, you have to stand your square, family. You're going to fight your way out of this the same way you got into it through the courts. But actual Article 3 courts, you can't make an argument in this. They're not going to put it on the record to say, oh, we just missed this case because we know we messing with you Moors. They ain't going to declare that. Why are they not going to do that? I can tell you why. Because they made an oath, a dead oath of blood to say they would never tell the Moors who they are. Not only would they never tell the Moors who they are, they would never educate them in any of these ways, which is a violation of all of this. It's a violation. And you don't have to have a clear-cut violation. It's in all of these things. And then you got the international documents that also highlight that as well, which are what? The United Nations Declarations of the Rights of the Child, Human Rights, and it's one more that I'm missing. That sounds just like human rights, but it's not. The Declaration of the Rights of the Indigenous people, right? So you have so much arsenal to reclaim what is yours. Why are you not doing that, Moors? Why are you not nationalizing? Why are you going into corporate courts trying to have an argument that you can't have in that venue? Because that venue is color of law. And the reasons why they even had to establish that venue was because you were outside of that, because you didn't claim your Moorish nationality. And if you want to sit here and want to know, well, how do we know we Moors? How do we know this is who we are? Well, we know that because the Treaty of Peace and Friendships is between the Moors and the Albions, the Europeans. And who was here? We know all of these things. There's records, there's evidence all over the place. This is the age of Aquarius. This is the age of education. This is the age of knowing, of knowledge. So everything is at your grasp to find out why you're dealing with what you're dealing with and how to get out of it, Moors. And here's the piece, Moors. Unity is what we lack. We want to use corporate UCC processes to get ourselves out of messes. We want to use the very thing that was created and established for this, the UCCs. But keep in mind, when was the UCCs established? Tiger, do you know when the UCCs was established?
They began in 1940, and by 1952 they were initiated.
Right. Now, what does that say?
International disputes.
So they were, so now you're saying they were to solve international disputes.
Right, it's banking disputes.
Okay.
They're banking codes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was international banking between the Crown, not the Queen Crown, the Crown, the international bankers and lawyers,
mm-hmm.
and their agencies, interacting agencies, the largest of which is the so-called United States Corporation Company.
Mm-hmm. So what does that say, right? He said
It began writing in 1940, but 1952 was passed and accepted as the.
Okay, so in 1952, they began to talk about a code system to go with this, right? Because this is a contract, commercial. It's all commercial, y'all. The Constitution for the United States of America is a commercial contract, right? It's a commercial contract, but it has a 10 Bill of Rights. It has the 10 Bill of Rights, which tells you what you can't do to the people. 10. It ain't many more after that. All of those other ones came after the coup d'etat of May 10th, 1861. So everything after any laws, or let's say anything that was passed after 1861 is not a law, it's a code. And it's based on corporation, courts, and boards of trustees. Right? So, you can't use the UCC's family for really much of anything. But in order to make it de jure and to make it yours, you just don't fill out their forms. How do you reclaim what is yours? What has been hypothecated? Well, the first step is obviously nationality. Obviously, nationality is the first step because you have to fix the first thing that caused your fall. Because they wouldn't have been able to do anything in their corporation courts if you lacked this. And you wouldn't lack this if you knew who you were first. You can only lack this if there goes a time frame in the period where you're going through a war and everything's being taken from you. And now because you're outside of this, now they're murdering you and they don't have to speak. They don't have to atone for that. Because you erred first. And even though we would like to get in our feelings, because I get in my feelings too, don't get it twisted. We all are being uneased by what's going on in Morocco. And you are going to have to make a decision to whether or not you want to sit here on Humpty Dumpty sitting on that wall to see which side you want to fall on. How about just jump off the wall, rep your Moorish nation, and let's fix this. If you can't do it for you, do it for your family. Do it for your babies. If you can't do it for yourself, who are you going to do it for? It's a good question, right? Because we grew up in a nation that was identifying as a corporation, and now we have a multitude of corporations all over Morocco telling you what you going to do and what they not going to do. They sit here asking you for green paper, monopoly money. And all of us is going around hurting and injuring each other for some shit that don't even exist. Excuse my French. So, are we blameless in all of this? Does ignorance of that fact absolve us of our responsibility to fix what we're lacking here? No. And if you want to sit there in your corporate status because the fight is just too big for you, what did Harriet Tubman say? When, you got out the bed because you're like, yeah, I want to be free. And then you realize, shucks, this is a little scary. This is a little uncomfortable. I'm in fear for my life because I don't know what's going to happen. What Harriet Tubman do? She had a shotgun, just so you know, she had a shotgun. Because it was that serious. And even though there's a lot of stuff coming up that Harriet Tubman, that name was not attributed to that person. So we know the Albion the one thing the Albion loves to do is lie. So why would you take anything they say factual? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you learn? Go down that rabbit hole with Morpheus and Neo and find out just how far the rabbit hole goes. And to realize that you owe it to your baby so they're not coming here. And the ones that are here currently ain't cleaning up the mess you left them because you didn't want to do what you needed to do, Morris. So unity is the key. That means getting out of the house on a Saturday, even though you worked at the plantation Monday through Friday, and being in this venue. Especially if you live near the corporate district of Philadelphia, you can make it here. So we can fix our problems together because it's not just mine, it's mine and it's yours. It's both of our problem. And we have to unite to fix it. They're banking on us not. They're banking on us to do a multitude of things. You got UCC Moors over here. You got Temple Moors over here. You got tribal Moors over here. You got the other Moors that's just trying to talk to whoever. You got all these different fractions, but y'all all dealing with the same problem. And y'all don't want to come together because of past things that you may have done that you don't want to bring to light. If you're scared, say I'm scared. And that's fine, but you gotta dismiss it, you gotta dispel it, you gotta meditate it out, get with your Kundalini, do whatever you need to do, but your babies don't deserve what you've left them. Because every generation is supposed to support the next generation. What are you supporting? You'll make time to watch football. You'll make time to go and do all of the sinful things that we do just to keep our brains not doing the things that we need to be doing, which is unifying, unification. That means coming to the library, getting uncomfortable talking to your family because you haven't been doing it for a very long time. And you've been running around, we've been running around here like slaves. Literally like the bound free Moors. You are bound free Moors. And why are you bound? Because there ain't no chains on you. This is bound. Your thought processes. Because the things that you utilize to determine how to live in life was given to you by a corporation. And all those corporations don't care about you, contrary to popular belief. They'll leave you just as comfortable so you can do the things that you're doing. And as soon as you start acting a fool, they're going to pull that comfortability away through these. So, would you rather be here or would you rather be here? Here you're free in Morocco. You're born and a bound free man in the corporate state. Islam? So, the first thing you need to establish is nationality. That is the very first thing you do before you even try to fight in any cause. Sorry to say, nationality has to be changed first because it is your status that determines, it is absolutely your status that determines what you can use as your defense. And would you rather be holding up paper swords or paper armor, or would you rather have some stuff that's really going to protect you because it was meant for you? Right? Nationality is first. Identification. Nationality identification is second. But in the middle of nationality is putting people on notice as to your correction of status, because for the most of your life, you've been identifying as a ward, a Moor that is bound, and the only thing he is bound by, because he is free, he was born free by his mama, is his mind or her mind. Islam? So, I said I was going to do 2 hours. I said I was going to do 11 to 1. I don't know if I want to do all that. Let's start. I'm going to just give some processes in regards to some things just to give you a highlight, but I want us to stay on this. That's why I don't even want to erase it, but I do have to erase it. But let's go back a little bit. Moors. The Albion is using their unlawful corporations, called courts, to hypothecate what belongs to you in Morocco. They're doing this based on your lack of a nationality and your 14th Amendment corporate ward status. The way that you fight and the mechanisms that's being used is the mail system. So the post office and the United States Postal Service and the Postmaster General, they're all a part of that gang of bandits who's using this system, the mailing system, to send you things so they can hypothecate what belongs to you because you lack this nationality. Right? So, is it clear, crystal clear, what your problem is? If you lack this, this is your problem. And then when you do get this, next down, this is your problem. This automatically should link you to that. Nationality. So what's wrong, Moors? Why do we have the administration of temples not doing what they charged to do? Article 3s. They supposed to be the Article 3s. You got the Moorish American Consulate. You got consular courts all over Morocco being established, and they not being established in the temples, which is where they're supposed to be. Why is that? The temples are not flawed. It's the administrators in the temples running them like those subject to this. corporate courts. Right? Right. So how do you fix it? You hold them to the Declaration of Independence, 1776. You hold them to the Constitution of the United States, for the United States of America. You hold them to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1787, 1836, still in force. And this is what they can hold you to, and this is the only thing they can hold you to, and they can't hold you to this because you are more. This subject, sovereign. Subject, sovereign. The Bill of Rights tells them what they can't do, right? So when we go to the utility companies, because we have so much work to do, in the last 40 minutes we'll be here to talk about what we got to do, Moors, what it is our responsibility to do right now. Unity is what we need to be doing, because we need to be having local demonstrations, local consul, local consulates, because guess where we going? I'm gonna show you that in a second. Where we at? Research this, and we'll bring it to full circle to see what we can get out of that. The records of the Federal Convention of 1787, Volume 2, page 263 specifically. Read that. Realize a lot of the documents, they codify things in such a big place because they want to hide the truth within it. Because they know our people don't like to read. But we'll sit on our cell phones, we'll sit on our electronic devices for hours. Hours. But when it comes to our liberation, we won't even give it a minute. Give it a minute, y'all. Give it an hour. Give it 2. For every hour you want to play, spend 20 minutes learning. If you want to play for 2 hours, spend 40 minutes learning. Gaining knowledge, gaining knowledge. So you can sharpen your blade. And your blade is a sword, and your sword is your word. And the word is the spell. And the spell can't be effective if you don't know all of the arsenal you have. You sit here and talk about, oh, they got guns. You got so much arsenal, they can't even utilize a gun if you just start speaking. And you speak appropriately and correctly, right? So, where am I going with this? Once you get nationality and you get unities locally, and the internet, the community is organizing on a unified front. Now we gotta start locally, because we got the business we gotta do is where we domicile individually, not even individually, where the people are. As soon as you nationalize unity, now you can hold them to that. Can't hold them to that without this. Can't hold them to this without this. Can't fight any of this in this 14th Amendment ward, right? So, now I told you what your problem is. We're going to come back to this tomorrow to make sure everybody next week to make sure everybody did their research on it. Now we're going to talk about where your problem is. So many erasers. Which one? Oh, this one works better? Oh, whatever. Do a checklist, family. Did you do this yet? And what's involved with that? What's involved with nationality? It's to declare and proclaim your nationality. The two documents that we have for declaring and declaring your nationality is the name declaration, proclamation, correction, and then the judicial proclamation. So I'll put name, declaration, judicial proclamation. What are these? What are these? The name declaration changes is where it's how you complete your status correction. Your status correction is coming from 14th to nationality. So you're coming out of this. The wardship status. The wardship status, that's what you're coming out of. The name declaration does that. You put your Moorish appellation, which is what you think a name is. Corporations have names. This is a corporation, that's a name. The county of whatever corporate state, blah, blah, blah. And they're broken up into a number of these counties, right? So every so-called state, so let's think of the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania has specifically 67 of these, all right? Keep in mind, we have counties. The Moroccans in Morocco have counties, right? They've laid the corporation over top of that, just like how they were laid the United States Service Corporation over top of the de jure United States. They did that. So everything has been laid over through the corporate state, right? So for me, Sharon Tracey Gale, that was my wardship name. That was my nom de guerre. That was my 14th Amendment name. My Moorish nationality, my Moorish appellation is Sharon Tracey Gale Bay. I've chosen Bay. You can choose Bay and L. Bay and L. Some people put both, combine them. Some people don't. So for instance, let me just give you an example. All right, let's do it in the wardship. Let me do it correctly. So we have, even though your mother didn't refute this, she was supposed to. That's your war name. That's your war name. Your appellation, which should be written in red, because you're a live being, should be this. I know you can't see it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Now you can't really see it. Hopefully you will be able to see it to some degree. So you got the nom de guerre, the ward name. Then you got Sharon Tracey Gale Bay, my Moorish appellation. So when I say, what's your Moorish appellation? You are supposed to know that, right? Sharon Tracey Gale Bay is my Moorish appellation. Sharon Tracey Gale was my wardship name. That is which you're correcting on the name declaration correction document, which can be found where? Can be found here, y'all. Go to www.MoorishAmericanConsulateNE/services. You go to there for these two documents, to correct this, or to declare and proclaim your Moorish nationality. Name declaration, judicial proclamation. So the name declaration is changing this to this. So it's changing this to this, and you can't really see it, but this is me writing in red with this horrible, horrible highlighter, and it's my appellation in proper written English. Capitalize first letter, lowercase the rest. Capitalize the first letter, lowercase the rest, vice versa, right? You don't have slashes, dashes, hyphenations, juniors, or any of those things. Just your appellation. And those two things is what you're correcting on the name declaration and your judicial proclamation. A proclamation is announcing to the world, announcing to these fictions, these corporate fictions, who you are, and that now you're no longer identifying as this 14th Amendment. You're identifying as this, your proper status, your nationality. That's what this is. This you send to the 7 locations. There's 2 locations that's included on there that I don't really particularly think you need to do anymore because the Archbishop kind of absolved themselves of responsibility. The Pope has dissolved himself of any responsibility in regards to the Albion and the wards. He dissolved himself. So why send it to them? They're not doing anything. That is no longer the head of this. The head left. Left the building and said, all right, y'all ain't got us to support y'all anymore. Y'all on your own. We out. So I don't send it to that particular person. Who else? Who else? Let's say. And I'm going to the website my darn self to get the information so I can tell you where else. Reading is fundamental. The instructions tell you what you need to do. Y'all got to get into the habit of reading yourselves out, and through the reading, you're going to liberate yourselves. So have your exorcism on the uncomfortability you have because of the social engineering that's been placed upon you through subjugation. Oh, we're there? Okay, we are there. Okay. This car is okay. Oh, wow. Where's, can I click on it? There we go. Okay. All right. So let's see, what page? On the instructions that can be downloaded from the website. On the instructions that can be downloaded from the website, page is it? I don't know what page it is. Page 5 tells you where to mail your proclamations and name corrections once you had them sealed and signed. Once you had them sealed and signed, you mail them to those 7 locations, and the instructions that can be found on the service tab of the Moorish American Consulate website, which is this. Write it down, visit it frequently because it changes frequently. The first one is Donald Trump, the president of the Service Corporation. The second is John Roberto, who's the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court Corporation. The third is Stephen T. Munchins, who's the United States Department of Treasury. The Attorney General, who used to be Jeff Sessions, no longer him. Mike Pompeo, the United States Secretary of State. The Provost Marshal, who is David Glazer. And then you have the Moorish American Consulate. If you didn't get recorded, if you didn't process your status corrections with the consulate court, that step you still have to do. And for some people who've already declared or proclaimed their nationality and who've already sent to the locations, you would email a PDF version of your status correction so you could receive your Moorish American Consulate record number.
Where's the addresses on there?
I'm sorry?
Where the addresses again?
They're on the website under the instructions. See, he ain't paying attention, see? I'm just messing. It's on the service tab. It's the first document on the service tab. You gotta scroll down.
First document on the service tab.
Go up. We went down too far.
Okay, first document.
Right there.
Oh, excuse me, thank you.
That's fine.
Wow, okay, I didn't have to click that.
Yeah, I know. So yes, you would send it to the Moorish American Consulate. You would get your record number. which would be proof that you recorded your status correction with right now the de jure county. We're operating as that function for our nation until we remove all of the corporations that are hypothecating those lawful jurisdictions with their corporate business. And we're going to do that, and we're doing that through our liens. We're liening them all, family, and we have to lien them all. You don't have a choice. They're violating your family. You have to lien them.
Got a question.
Yes.
There's a lot of Moors, well, African Americans who got corporations.
Say it again?
Okay, a corporation is still the United States. This is the United States, this library.
No, it's not. The library is a building that's being claimed by a corporation without the authority or jurisdiction to claim it.
Okay, but I created a corporation in 1987.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania.
That means it's subject to the corporate ward state, and it's subject to anybody wanting to lien it that's in their proper person.
Right, this is what I'm asking. A whole lot of Moors, African Americans, Moors, have got corporations.
Right.
Non-profits, for-profits,
that's
you name
fine,
it.
right?
They all got to be leaned too.
Yep.
Huh? That's
Why?
Crazy.
Why?
I know.
Answer your question.
It's going to be a lot of getting upset too.
Well, they need to be. But the person they need to be upset with are themselves, because the reality is they're victimizing their family members just like the Albions are.
Right. Okay.
And the Albions are using them to do so.
Okay, I got a question also, because I've been thinking about this the last.
Guess what gets them out of the? Guess what gets them out of it? Nationality.
Okay, but here's the.
You get out of family. You gotta lien your mom if she works for Pico. You gotta lien your cousin if he works for the towing company down the street. You have to lien your wife or consort, which we call them, if they work for the courts. Well, corporation courts. You gotta lien them. Sorry.
I have a question about.
Guess how they get out of the liens, the obligations? Nationality. So you're forcing them to proclaim and declare their status correction to get themselves out of that.
Okay, now, is it just the Moorish American Consulate that does the leaning? Because we were discussing that the other night, and I was a little confused.
Anybody in their proper person can lien. Anyone in their proper person. But, meaning you have to be the sovereigns of the land. Right.
But it's the Moorish National Republic that does it, but we actually, because it's representing
the Moorish National Republic federal government is a government within the Moorish Empire. There are several. That's the one I don't represent. I am affiliated with. Now, any Moors can establish de jure nations, and you're encouraged to, because we need more than just one, because the empire is a multitude of nations within it. Nation states. Go ahead.
Well, I recommend we use one just to get us out.
It's fine.
Use Moab heavily. But
we
anyway,
can use more, because that's the unity piece that Moors has got to get under their belt. You got to realize, you my brother, I'm your sister. We are one nation, and we need to unify in order to speed ahead.
But wouldn't there be repercussions, like people getting upset, wanting to give threats and all that because you lien them? For example,
what can they do now after the lien that they ain't already doing before you placed it?
Okay.
Okay.
I got a bank account.
You got a bank account, meaning you don't. Is it under your straw?
No, in my free national name.
How do you get a bank account in your free national name underneath a wardship type of organization? Because did they hypothecate your name and create it in all caps? And you don't have names, you have appellations. When you establish that account, how did you establish it? What identification did you use? What kind of account did you establish?
I used my travel ID, non-interest bearing account.
Non-interest, that's great. But what's in it? This is the important part. What's in the account? What did you use to establish it? Federal Reserve notes you used.
Yeah, I used Federal Reserve notes, fiat.
So is there anything really in that account?
Nothing there.
All right.
So they freeze, there's nothing really there.
Do y'all know what slavery really is? Thinking you have money when you have no money, working at a corporation that's never given you a damn dime, that's why you are enslaved, because you don't make any decisions in your life.
Okay.
And you don't even make any finance. And even like when you think about all those lovely celebrities, Beyonce, Jay-Z, they're let's say high pay slaves. They have way more into this social paradigm staying exactly the way it is, because in that they're wealthy, but they're even way more wealthy outside of it because they own all of the wealth of the nation. And they're trading it in for a privilege to be on a stage and work their tails off. They don't have anything. They just are comfortable slaves meant to use to deceive us to think that we want to be the same way. But you were going to say something else?
That's interesting.
They ain't got nothing. They in the worst position because they on their neck. They did take oaths. Blood in, blood out.
All right. I had concerns about repercussions because I want to do. Oh, it was the but you destroyed what I was thinking concerning the bank, because I want to put a lien on them. And
well, we're going to nationalize everything.
All banks, I'm looking at minimum 50 billion, because they all have 25 or 30 billion through their nonprofit CDCs. So we got to do at least 50 billion. I would do no less than 100 billion.
First of all, you want to lean them. You want to lean them out of business, and you want to destroy all of their current contracts and make them allodial. You don't want them to operate the way they're operating because it's unlawful. And our job as Moors is to get everybody back on the Constitution and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
Well, then you have to do at least 100 billion.
You ain't got to do nothing. You could just lean them and tell, I just want you off the land. Or I just want you out of this building. You could put an extra, whatever they are saying on Wikipedia they're worth, do twice that. 4 times that. Do a number that they can't ever attain. And then tell them, in your lien, I want you out of those buildings within 30 days because they have just been reacquired by the Moorish National Republic federal government under the Moorish Empire of Morocco, which you stand. And the reasons and the other things that are going to be a part of those liens are what they're violating. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the Constitution for the United States of America, the Gold Clause, the fact that they haven't been paying any of their, they've been transferring the wealth and they haven't been paying the Moroccan Empire, which was also part of the agreement.
Well, that particular bank sent me a letter with the W-9, you have a copy of it, and they're saying they operate under federal law. The question is, how do you operate under federal law?
I'm telling you, they've corporations.
Dissolved in 1933. There is no federal
Actually,
law.
1861.
Well, the congressional record, I use the congressional record because I don't know the congressional record for
the federal government is tied to the United States of America and the United States and that compact in 1791. It's tied to that. Keep in mind, all the states joined to become that federal, to be under that federal government, so they would have power, so they would have support, security, to get the army up, all that stuff. They did all that to become under the federal government. So the federal government, when that was dissolved during that coup d'etat in 1861, it dissolved all that.
Well, we need a copy of the congressional record for that. That way.
For what?
Because then it'd be documentation.
Of what? Documentation of what?
Of the dissolution.
Everything they've done is a dissolution. The Constitution tells you what they can do. What are they doing? They're paying debts with something that doesn't exist, that is outside the Constitution. They dissolved it with the violations of the oaths, which is to support the Constitution, to support the treaty, to support all of the compacts and agreements prior to the Constitution. By their very actions, the 14th Amendment, citizen.
So none of us should go to a bank without walking in with not only the appropriate documents, but a lien should go with it.
First of all, we got to lien everything on the land and put it in de jure fashion, because there is finance, there are gold and silver. We just don't have access to it because we want to play the warship game. And once we nationalize all the banks, everything gets reset back to de jure lawful national principles.
Oh, is that what the holdup is? We just ain't.
We've been the holdup for 100 years. We've been the holdup. When Prophet Noble Jew Ali came down here, he came to fix all of this. All of this nonsense, how we were identifying, realigning us back to the land, the soil, the Moroccan soil, which is why you are a Moorish American. He came down here to fix all that. He got the mandate for the land, all that stuff. So the only way Moors have access back to their nativity is through nationality. He did all that already. We ain't even got to do much but what he told us to do. We sit here and think we got to do all and climb through all of those fucking loopholes that the Albion has made, and we have to do absolutely none of those things. Absolutely none. It is beautiful because Prophet Noble Jew Ali says you Moors ain't going to find out till what, 3-4 generations what I left you, and it's going to take you 50 years to realize you just love me. You're going to love me so much you ain't never even heard of me. My name will not even be known. And for a long time, we never heard about anything about Prophet Noble Jew Ali, but we knew about Elijah Muhammad, who was a student of Prophet Noble Jew Ali. But he ain't never start talking about that till what, this year, last year? Start now, everybody want to rep Prophet Noble Jew Ali because they know what the time is, and they don't want to be culpable for what they had, the burning house, so to speak, that our people were aligning ourselves with because we wanted to be all kumbaya. We keep wanting to kumbaya with people who are outside of our nationality, our nativity, seeking a stranger, seeking a stranger versus our own blood we see every day. We walk by all of our family members in the streets and we ignore them for all these Albions who's slowly boiling you frogs in a pot. And you don't know that you're boiling because you're slowly boiling. What are some of the things Prophet Noble Jew Ali said? Since we actually on that, we got about 20 minutes. We're gonna stay true to time, right? Oh goodness, that froze.
Stephen M. Mnuchin. Stephen M. Mnuchin.
Stephen M. Mnuchin.
Yeah, Jeff Sessions. He left. Jeff
Sessions. Yes, Jeff Sessions is no longer the Attorney General. Some say he quit, some say he got fired. But you know, when Europeans leave, they give them gracious bailouts to those facilities. Either they're gonna let you retire, like they probably already was gonna do away with him last year. They just let it wind down. So he probably was already not really operating in that capacity for a particular amount of time. But keep in mind, in all these corporations, because we already started leading a lot of them, they're all the people who are at the heads who've been fired by the Moors, because we command, we will. We command, we will.
Well, what's the point of mailing out to all these people? I never saw points. I never mailed anything out.
What do you mean?
I didn't mail it out to them because
mail what out to them? Specify what you're saying.
The judicial proclamation.
You never did the judicial proclamation, meaning
to mail out to them. I never did. Never had. Even when I did my court order for my name change, I didn't send it out to them.
But guess what? Now let's talk about your court order for your name change. What is the error in what you just said? Court order, name change.
That was with my Native American government.
Native American government. Family members.
With the United States. No way.
Family members. I'm going to keep saying this. I don't really like to directly say these things, but I'm going to say it. Your tribal affiliation is how you would like to be identified. Your nationality is linking you back to the land in Moorish nationality. And if you want any real evidence as to why that is a trap set again by the Albions, what the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? Did it talk about any tribes? What did the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? Who were the two parties?
United States
and Moors.
And the Moors.
Did it say anything about the Chickasaw tribe? Did it say anything about the 5 so-called civilized tribes? Did it say anything about the Wichita tribe? Did it say anything about I could go on for days. We keep falling into traps because we don't want to do our due diligence, because we don't want to learn. We don't want to gain education and not education, knowledge of self. Moors, you fell as Moors, you got to rise as Moors. If you want to call yourself a Chickasaw, if you want to call yourself a whatever tribe you want to call yourself, just make sure your Moorish American nationality is in there. Just call yourself Moorish American National of the Wichita tribe, Moorish American National of the Yamasee tribe, Moorish American National of the Seminole tribe. But you just make sure you proclaim and declare your Moorish nationality is tying you back to the land and tying you back to all of those pacts, covenants, agreements, contracts, because that is how you're going to sharpen your blade to kick the beast in its ass. Not through the games of tribal affiliations, which is what they established to get you to stay in their status. Now they're running from the 14th ward to tribes. Now they're trying to run into the tribes. Guess why? Because they established them. And they're going to take as many Moors with them that don't know that the tribe is just the way they like to be identified. It's kind of like, I don't like to use nom de guerre language, so I'm not even going to say it. It's just how you would like to identify. But you are a Moor first and foremost. Because based on Article what? 25? I'm sorry. Chapter 25 of the Circle 7. I'm going to bring that up. Circle 7. There's a binder for newly nationalized Moors that we send out, which is 200 pages worth of beautiful information that's codified so you can easily reference the essential information that you need to liberate yourself and liberate your nation, your nativity. So the Circle 7, I know it's in here. I'm going to find it. That's a Zodiac. Here it is. So if I go to the Circle 7 and I go to chapter 25, my favorite chapter. I'm going to 25, my favorite chapter. There we go. Oh my goodness, did it just push me out? Come on, what happened? Guess I'm going back in. Anybody got chapter 25? One mother has given us all suck. Let the bonds of our, I don't even want to go there and mess it up. So I'm just going to go to it. Here we go. Chapter 25, Circle 7 Quran. The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Just think about Asiatic. What does that mean? Asia. The uniting of Asia. Ye are the children of one father provided by his care, and the breast of one mother gave us all suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in the Father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relations that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before our own blood. If the brother is in adversity, assist him. If sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race in his care. Be continued to you all in the love of each other. That you need to burn into your brain, burn into your mind. Because only one mother has given us all suck. We are families. We are supposed to be united. And there's not supposed to be a schism in the land. And the very proof of the schisms is why we are all going through what we're going through. It's the schisms, the disunity that has caused our fall, the fall of the Moroccan Empire. Because y'all want to choose a stranger versus your own blood. We should have always been choosing our blood. We should never have schisms, and we should have been united with our family. And when we are in adversity, it is our responsibility to help assist each other out of that calamity. But it's assist, family. We have to fix the errors that we've caused in our own lack of knowledge. And realize we're all learning how to get out. We all are just now rubbing the fog out of our eyes. And we need to unite. Islam? So we talked about the name declaration and judicial proclamation. Send it to the 7 locations. I would do 5. You do you. I put all 7 for everyone to know exactly who. The governor is the added one as well. Because those are the ones that you keep voting for every election, and wonder why they keep you subject, because you keep yourself subject by voting in their tribunals. You're voting in their corporations. Well, you think you are, but you've only given the right to vote only so you could be subject. Only reasons why they have it on the table. Because they want you to come in there and apply for a voter registration card, so you can vote in their tribunals, so they can make you subject to their estate. Their corporations.
Right.
What do you got to use to? What do you use to even register to vote? What information do they ask you for when you register? I know 100% they're asking you for all your corporate ward type information. Where's your residence? Which is your domicile location, your mailing location in a de jure fashion. What state you live in? What's your name? These are all ways that they have hypothecated the Moroccan Empire because you have subject yourself through a damn application. So you applied, you gave consent through the application process to be awarded their estate.
They gave up the birthright.
Gave up your nationality, your nativity. Yeah. You dishonored your mommy and your daddies. And your mommies and daddies are like, you can keep talking to me, but I can't hear you because you under this. And you're supposed to be under this. Through this. And that. So after you process that, judicial proclamation, send it to the 7 locations. Do it. It's a spell you're casting. What is this? The nationality identification cards. People think they need a right to travel card. If you are a sovereign and you sovereign to the land, you do not have to ask permission from anybody in the land because you sovereign on the right to travel. But if you injure someone, you have a claim that can be brought against you because you've injured someone. And you only have to remedy that injury. Nationality identification cards are your proof of nationality.
How are they your passport to leave and go to another?
Man, dude, did anybody read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? Your passport. You're in amity law, right? So right now, most of our family members are what? Swimming in sea. They're swimming in sea, and they have to get permission. And in order to get permission to go from port to port, they need a passport. You don't need a passport because you got the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is linked to your nationality. Many Moors are demonstrating. Many Moors are demonstrating nationality, identification, allodial cards to passports.
So I can leave the land and go to another land, go to West Africa, Ghana, or Liberia, or whatever.
Yep.
With just my national identity.
Why would you even need anything less? And who would need to track you? If you free, you ain't trackable. The only people that need to get a passport are people who need the permission to go to and fro and have to have specific. So their corporations that they belong to, based on their applications and voter registrations and things like that, have to ask permission to go anywhere because they want to know where you are.
Federal employees.
Federal employees, right?
Yeah.
So your nationality identification card is your passport, your right to travel in your land. The reasons why the bandits working for this as highwaymen, policy enforcers, sheriffs, because they're not allodial right now, even though to even carry that title is to not be warned against the thing that gave you that you took an oath to, because policy enforcers took an oath to these corporations. They're outside of the contract. And guess what? It says policy enforcers. So should they be pulling anybody over with that? And that? Who's done this? Absolutely not.
No, they shouldn't, because they're already, some of the Europeans who have U.S. passports without the social and all that are being do not detain. So
keep in mind that's corporate, and we all.
But they're doing it without that. So if we have a nationality card, then we shouldn't be stopped at all.
Yeah, but why are they doing it, y'all? Y'all gotta keep in mind the piece that y'all trying to fight against. You got two brothers and sisters, right? You got here. You got unity. How can there be unity with two individuals who are from the same mother identifying differently? You got nationals on one side, wards on the other side, and they all domicile in the same area. Right? How do they know the difference? How do they know the difference? I'm not giving them an excuse, because they know the difference. They really know. As soon as you open your mouth, your word is your bond. When you say you're a Moorish American national, the realities are you ain't even need to have any of these. All you need to be doing is Satan, for the record. What you are. For real, for real. But if you can't articulate yourself like that, you gotta have card. Like, you gotta literally be walking this life. There's other ways. We got so much information to go through, but I'm not going to go to all that. But you got nationality, worship statuses. You got many of your family members agreeing to be the booty and the prize. Agreeing to be it, because they ain't did this yet. Nationalize. So now, how you going to have unity when you got too many people sitting here liking their benefits because they scared, because they have fear, because they have false information appearing to be real, and they're not going to do their due diligence to get over here from over there, but yet they say they love their children. How you love your children when you over here? Especially if it's brought to your attention that you're over here. And if you're over here, so is your babies. That's why they use those corporate courts called family courts. Take your babies right from you, give them to somebody else, and you ain't getting them back. You think you're getting them back. You're going to keep jumping through hoops, having more and more babies in this.
So I don't want to sound like I'm off of thing what you're saying, but the university, I'm still thinking about
That's fine.
the liens. So the universities and colleges are also claimed by a corporate like this library.
They're all claimed through this.
I know somebody works at Montgomery Community College, so registration.
They all registered under the corporation, state of, when they established their organizations or their businesses or their non-for-profit. Everybody, in order to get those so-called bank accounts, got an EIN number through that registration process, so they're subject. They know it because you registered. That's what. Somebody need to look up the etymology of registration.
You know something? That makes sense. So we shouldn't be going after tax numbers from the IRS. None of that.
Going after what?
Tax numbers from the IRS.
When you say tax numbers, what you mean?
Even foreign tax numbers, EIN numbers.
Nope.
It was a big campaign. People were going after 9/8 numbers, foreign status numbers a couple of years ago. So many more has got numbers of foreign tax numbers.
People, foreign tax, okay. Now, in order for there to be this, there has to be this. They have to be, they both dwell here. Law and color of law. But if you're under this, you ain't gonna get too much of this. In order to get this, you gotta probably do a lot of this. Well, a lot of work at a JOB. In order to even try to get this, but all the work at the JOB, did you really get this?
Yeah.
If you had to spend if you gotta spend the next 20 years working off of debt because you got an attorney to fight against this, to get this, did you really get anything?
Actually, the time needs to go down.
I know it does. This is Remedy, y'all. And I don't know how to move the camera without messing everything up. Color law Remedy. How you getting Remedy? Oh, it shows it over here on my camera. How you getting Remedy? The case talked about that I read, and I'm going to post it on social media. The case that I read was talking about how you sitting here trying to fight against to be subject of a particular place when you registered your organization here. And the fact that you thought that you had to do that is what subject you, because you never had to do it. You just did it because you don't know no better. And you go to the barbershops, you go to the churches, you go to the attorneys, and you all ask for advice, and they tell you to do this. Because they're all hypothecating and living a privilege. And in order to be in any of those so-called societies, they have to know the truth. They take blood oaths not to reveal the truth, and they take oaths also to rep this stuff. Right? Because a lot of our people are committing adultery. What is an adultery, man? That's going to bake your noodle. I'm just going to say. It has something to do with going outside of this for consorts. Family, we're learning a valuable, valuable lesson. The question is, are you going to take that lesson and run with it? Or are you going to run from it?
Wow. People are asking questions.
Oh, they are. I can't say nothing. Because I can't see the camera.
You should ask me. I would tell you.
Tell me what questions. If y'all got questions, the last 5 minutes, we can end. We'll stop here and resume here next Saturday, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, same place, same station, to completely go over this. But I just wanted to kind of talk about the 3 things that I want you to be working on right now if you haven't done any of these things. It's these 2, and then and keep in mind, this is for your whole entire family. Don't just do it for you, Mom. Write your babies too. And you can find it here. So if you have questions, so the first thing you want to make sure you get done is your nationality, family. You don't have a choice. I'm telling you, you don't have a damn choice. Declare, proclaim your Moorish nationality, correct your status, correct the status of your babies, correct the status of the family members that are willing to do it. And if they are of an underage, you assist in that, meaning they're a minor. Everybody a minor if you ain't national, just so you know. That's why you need an attorney to represent you in the tribunals, because you don't, first of all, you're a corporation, you can't speak. Second is nationality identification cards. Get nationality identification cards, carry them everywhere that you go, because they will be your passport in everything you do in the coming months. When deportation, decolonization starts, how are you going to save yourself if you ain't got nothing to rep that you belong here? Because there's only going to be 2 people that stay here. Everybody else getting deported. Oops.
What would Moors be who are not conscious be deported?
No. If you don't proclaim and declare your nationality, unconscious Moors, you automatically are subjects. Automatically. We're going to claim you. We're claiming you. And we're going to make you claim this.
So what's the subject?
Subject is everybody who ain't got that.
But
that we choose. Well, let's anybody who doesn't have a nationality, and don't have one to speak of, are automatically a Moorish subject based on law. But keep in mind, we can make any changes to anything we want in our proper status, and we determine who outside of this can be this. It's not automatic just because you dwell here. You have to apply for this through the Moorish Empire. But Moors, you're tied to the land through blood. And we're going to get you out of those nom de guerres.
okay, right? So they'll be more subject temporarily until the process is...
Just like they got colonization programming, they'll get knowledge, and they're going to do this automatic. It ain't even going to be something we're going to be fighting about, just so you know.
Everybody else will be more subjects.
Everybody else who will be more subjects who agree to what? Treaty, peace, and friendship. Constitution, however it's going to be reestablished. If we're going to make some tweaks to it, it's going to be this. We ain't going to have no other operating venues outside of us. We ain't going to do this again. We ain't doing this again.
No more attachments.
We ain't doing no more United States of America. We ain't doing no more of that. You only this and this. We ain't doing that. Our people get confused when we have too much going on here. Snaring traps set by missionaries who came here with a mission. Just so you know, missionary mission. Anyway, Right. So Moors that are undeclared and proclaimed, or that are not declared and proclaimed, you are going to automatically be protected under the Moroccan Empire because you are our brothers and sisters, and it is our job through Article 25, through Chapter 25 to support you in finding out this. And we know darn well the reasons why a lot of you are in fear of this is because you lack knowledge of what it means. In what it means to be outside of this. To be outside of this is to be this. That's spelled it wrong.
TERRORIST.
So, know what you are outside of it, and that's why they treat you horrible, just so you know. They treat you horrible because they ain't got no laws supporting why they treat you, because you're an outlaw, a bandit, a terrorist.
Put terrorist next to bandit because you're not going to be able to see it.
Oh, y'all can't see the terrorist piece?
To the left. Put it to the left.
All right. Left? Where? Right here?
To your left. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So, if you're not a Moorish national or Moorish subject, you're an outlaw, a bandit, a terrorist, and if you don't have anything tying you to the land, you're going to get deported. Okay? It's that simple. So, but we know why you are in fear of this, because you lack knowledge. And because all of the media is telling you that to be this is to be this, when to not be this is to be this. Got everything flipped. You're an outlaw if you haven't declared and proclaimed your Moorish nationality. You're a bandit because everything that you're doing is violating the supreme laws of the land. And you're a terrorist. You're terrorizing the Moors who are trying to bring the de jure government back online. So, I'll let you ponder that. But again, this is what, if you haven't done these things, this is what you have to be doing. Nationality, national identification cards, private allodial Moorish trusts. That is your assignment until the next class. Be working on those if you haven't started working on those. And then once you've gotten those established, then you can start doing some real stuff. I know y'all probably can't see this. I'm going to read it for you. If you've done nationality, you have your allodial national identification card, you've already established your private allodial trust, you can start working on liens, affidavits, adverse claims. Liens, affidavits, adverse claims. We'll go into all of these things, family, because I'm going to have a orientation manual that's going to be on the website eventually once I compile all this information together so you can follow the yellow brick road. Liens, affidavits, adverse claims. But family, keep in mind, a lot of us have been doing things backwards because there is nobody, the Moorish Science Temples they were supposed to be doing all of this. They were supposed to be nationalizing you. They were supposed to be doing everything because they were supposed to be acting as the Article 3. Everything that you needed, you were supposed to be able to go to those temples, but they have hypothecated the temples. The administrations, the people operating in them are the problem because they have created them and modeled them in their operations after churches.
Yeah, but they were incorporated anyway. So
incorporated anyway.
That's the Roman Curia, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, even if the guy's great intention and someone starts one, if it's incorporated, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, because you're subject.
Yep.
And that's because you did this. You registered it. You didn't have to. Why don't you have to register it? First of all, you're in your national capacity. You have Bill of Rights 1. I can organize and align myself however I deem fit. I don't have to register anything to something that only exists on paper, and that's a fraud based on color of law. So we ran over. Does anybody have any questions before we end?
Yeah, but there was a question.
Couple questions.
The guy was asking about how to set up a Moorish business,
How to set up a Moorish business.
It says, so what is the basics to establish a Moorish business?
The basis to establish a Moorish business. The basis to establish a Moorish business. I actually have to answer that. Sometimes I want you to think your own way out of the rabbit hole.
Well, you just start contracting.
Contract appropriately.
Right. With
don't give away any rights.
That's right.
Don't incorporate anything.
That's right.
Realize what we're gaining. What we're getting back is the Moorish Empire from the state of county corporations, and the only thing we need to do them through our courts, Article 3 courts, as well as you, because we're all gods in our own rights and able to handle our own affairs. And the only thing that is our problem is unity. Our unity is our problem. We will spend hours, finance, time at football games, Thanksgiving dinners. I know what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that I have this. So I can celebrate Thanksgiving because I'm thankful that I know my nationality. If you still here, you ain't got a damn thing to be feeling thankful for. You ain't got nothing to be thankful for. So, I mean, I don't know, you sit here and just keep, giving Albion's mandate, right? But decolonization is the order of the day. Second only to nationality, right? So, if you don't do this, you're fine. But before you can establish any businesses, you better do all that first. Put your business under your trust. That's where it's supposed to be. Your organization, whatever it is that you want to do, you put it under your trust. You lean corporations that got your land you might want. Lean it and tell them to get out the building and go hypothecate it back. Claim it. Adverse claim. Adverse claim is you claiming something that was taken from you. And the best way you can do that is through nationality. And if there is no other questions, because I can't see anything on this board, I can see nothing.
I had a question about the Moorish American Consulate, and the question was, how does it, how do you apply it in your everyday? How do you create the court? Like if I want to create a case and bring somebody to court, how do we convene court? Because they're
got to go through the common law jury. You got to go through the common law grand jury. There's a website that I don't have the absolute name, but I'm sure there's a link on here where, first of all, there's an international docket on the website. So if your so-called case is in their corporation court, you go to the publications notice tab, and
the corporate case, the what tab?
You go to the public notice tab, and you go into the document called International Writ of Removal. International Writ of Removal. Because those are corporations hypothecating. You're trying to hypothecate you, but they use mail fraud to try to get you in their venue. And you accepted the invitation.
By showing up.
By showing up. And you didn't send them notifications as to who you are. And that they about to get deported because they warned against the government.
International Writ of Removal is the one that you use to, in response to them when they send you. It's already signed. All you gotta do is just send it out.
That's all you do is send that. You send for any corporate court that's trying to claim anything. Your adverse claim is this: treaty of peace and friendship, notice of existence of the Moorish American Consulate, Moorish National Republic Federal Government, this international document, and a cover letter talking directly to those trying to hypothecate what is yours. What?
Okay. All right. Oh, it's Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah, but because some of them don't have this. This is for Pennsylvania. Is there any for each state jurisdiction?
That's when we talk about state.
State jurisdiction.
We talk of state. This is not. Where's state Pennsylvania?
Oh, I see. They
got read document.
They got Minnesota up there too. Okay, never mind.
Right.
Oh, I see. They got all the government. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
And that was us putting them on notification So when we put them on notification, they were supposed to stop doing all this.
They still haven't
Of
stopped.
course, because there's too many Moors.
Giving them business.
Giving them business.
Giving them their
you violating your unity. You violating the Circle 7 to chapter 25. You choosing a stranger versus your own blood. You warring against your own nation. You're an outlaw. You're a bandit. You're a terrorist. Yes. So
Okay.
too are the colonists.
I see this done. Woo! This is heavy. Okay.
So we're gonna adjourn. And if there are no other questions, because we are past our time. And what is it? Is it 11:11? Is it 1:11? It just went to 1:12, didn't it? Or is it what time? It's 1:11. It's funny. We started at 11:11. We're ending at 1:11. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Pax et more. Familia. So, it's long. Gotta be with a trust. So, this is our first class. I think we did a great job. Pax et more, family. Peace and love. And Dias and Bonum.
So I got